everyone, Steve Field in the Prime Safety Department. It's been several weeks since I've had the opportunity to speak with you, and you're going to hear Dave talk later about our safety meetings, and man, we miss those things, but it's just not yet time to put that many people back in a group. So this week we're going to have our own safety meeting. We're going to have myself, we're going to have Dave White, we're going to have Bill Sprague, we're going to have Dennis Davis, three of the folks that I work with every day, and they've got some good information. But before we get there, let's just kind of look back for just a little bit. And this year, I just want to thank you again for your efforts. We, and when I say we, I really mean you, have put up some fantastic numbers. In our meeting that we had today with Robert, he was very complimentary of our accident costs this year, but that's nothing the safety department's doing. That's nothing our dispatchers are doing. That's what you're doing out there every single day. And we're just super proud of you. But as we put one challenge in front of another, we've got another one coming up, and it comes this time every year, and that's winter time. Last winter was really, really good for us. You guys did great. We're always going to have some accidents. We have accidents in the summertime, but what we want to do is we want to make this coming winter as safe as last winter. So we're going to talk about a couple of things that deal specifically with winter. And then we're going to talk about upgrading in the wintertime. Bill Sprague is going to talk about that because that's important to you, but he's got some great points that we want to get across to you. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to turn it over to Dave, to Bill, and to Dennis, and they're going to talk about three different topics here, and then I'll come back at the end and kind of wrap it up and just have a few closing thoughts for you. So we're going to get started, and I appreciate you tuning in. I hope you find it informative, and I'll see you at the end of the video.
Hello, Prime drivers. Dave White here from the Prime Safety Department. Well, we're heading into getting close to October, coming into the winter months, the winter driving months, the fun time of trucking, so to speak. No, just kidding on that one. But yeah, we need to be prepared for winter. Last winter, we did really well on our accidents, and hopefully we'll repeat that this winter. I know the weather conditions, it seems like it's stranger and stranger every year, more violent storms coming across the United States. As a matter of fact, we've already had a winter storm this year. It went through Colorado, Wyoming, and shut some roads down up there temporarily. So we need to be talking winter driving, and that's what this is about today. I want to get the word out there to you. Hopefully your trucks are already prepared for the winter. You already got the chains and cables on. If you want to use auto socks, you can. We do sell those in our company stores. If you don't know much about auto socks, I suggest you Google it and take a look at them. They're pretty handy. They are relatively expensive, though, compared to chains and cables, but I'll leave that up to you. If you want to go with those, that's fine. If you have questions, give us a call in the safety department. We'll help you out on that. So are our company stores as well. They've got all the information on them and the pricing as well. Remember, I-70 west of Denver out to the Utah line, you need to have chains and cables on your truck, no matter what the weather condition is. That started September 1st, so I hope you all are prepared for that already. The state of Washington starts November 1st up there, and they last until May 31st. They go the longest. So, you got to be on your truck. If you get stopped for an inspection, they'll take a look and see if you have them. If you don't, you're going to get a ticket. More than likely, they will make you go buy them, and you don't want to buy them out on the road. They're very expensive. So, besides chains and cables, let's talk about your truck. Make sure you got blankets, your coat, gloves. You're ready to go for winter. The summer items, shorts, t-shirts, muscle shirts, all that good stuff. Probably take that off your truck for now, and let's be prepared for the winter time. Boots, gloves, like I said, you got to be ready to roll out there, and the winters can be very, very harsh out west. Be prepared too if you get stopped in an accident scene or there's an accident up in front of you. You may be stopped for a day or so, or 10 to 12 hours at least. So those situations occur out there on the highway. So make sure you got plenty of food and water on your truck and you're ready to go. I'm going to talk about routing now. It's Wyoming, Colorado, those areas out there, many times they'll shut down the highways. I-80 is not a good place to be come November, December, January. They get wind warnings, they get snowstorms, they shut down roads. So be prepared. When you're doing your routing, be looking out ahead and see, hey, what direction am I going to go? If there's a chance you can go south, if you're going out to the West Coast and you can run south, get with your fleet manager, make that game plan, make that decisions before you get to that situation, before you decide, well, I'm just going to run 80, and then all of a sudden you're stuck out there in Wyoming for a day because they got the road shut down, or 2 days, and we've had that happen. There's times our customers will pay for extra for extra miles, out of route miles, because they don't want you sitting in Wyoming with their load rather than, you could be out in California a day or so earlier. So, ask those questions to your fleet manager, see if you can make that happen, because routing makes a big difference out there on the highway. Be aware too, winds, in those states too, Utah, Wyoming, they can be very treacherous. So if you run in light loads, many times they put a light load advisory up. When that happens, they don't want light loads out on the highway. So I know it makes it kind of tough on you, because what's the definition of a light load? There really isn't none. But what we say here at Prime, under 25,000 pounds is a light load. So protect yourself, be ready if you see that light load or high profile vehicles are banned. You need to look for a place to park. You don't want to be out there on the highway, get blown over. Let's talk next about some driving tips and techniques. Number one, frozen brakes on trailers. Those seem to come up quite frequently. You're picking up a trailer, it's been dropped at a facility, it's been cold outside, maybe moisture's gotten into the brake pads or the brake linings, and if you don't pay attention and you're pulling away from the dock, you can drag a tire and you can flat spot it very easily. So make sure those tires are released and those brakes are released before you start rolling. Go move back and forth, rotate back and forth your steering, looking in your mirrors to make sure those tires are turning before leaving a customer or leaving a truck stop. Even if you set your trailer brakes, they can lock up on you in the wintertime and cause problems. Cruise control and Jake brakes out in inclement weather, don't use them. Please turn it off and just run with the foot feed out there. Cruise and Jakes on snow, wet conditions, ice, just a recipe for disaster. One last thing before I let you all go, keep your speed appropriate to your driving ability and the conditions. So that being said, let's look at it. Let's say you're out there on a highway and you haven't had very little winter driving experience. Maybe you've just been with your trainer for a winter and this is your first winter on your own. You're going to see people going different speeds out there, there's no doubt. There's no pressure on you to stay up with them. If you feel that's going too fast, that they're going too fast, you run your own speed. You run your own truck, you run your own business. So be careful. Watch that following in packs and things like that, because you can lead yourself to an accident very easily. Speed is the biggest issue when it comes to accidents and winter driving. So keep your speed down, keep it appropriate for the conditions. And if it gets too unsafe out there and it gets too slick and you're not comfortable, by all means stop. When you stop, let your fleet manager know you're going to stop for a while. You let the roads take care of themselves. Many times in the northern states, many of these state crews, they do a very good job getting out there, maybe 2 or 3 hours, and you can get back out there and comfortably drive again. So keep that in mind. Bottom line, there's no load that's worth anyone's life out there on the highway, yours or another motorist. So, hey, let's get through this winter. Let's do it successfully like we did last year. If we can repeat last year, that will be great, and that's what we're looking for. Your safety is number one, and so is that of the motoring public. So take care, Prime drivers. Appreciate all of you for what you've been doing. Miss our Friday morning meetings terribly, but we will get back to them eventually, probably in 2021, but we will get there. And take care, and go Prime.
Hello everyone, this is Bill Sprague in the safety department here at Prime. I had some information I want to bring to you today that it involves minimum miles to upgrade. We get a lot of questions in the safety department asking questions like, I've been involved in a preventable accident, is that going to add miles to my training? Or I've received a moving violation ticket, is that going to extend the time I'm out with a trainer? And the simple answer is yes, but let me explain further. Let's say you come to us as a DC, you come through our PSD program and you got our CDL through us. Once you receive that CDL, you're required to complete 50,000 miles. Now that's the minimum. If you come to us as a C seat, that's going to be 60,000 miles, and a B seat's going to be 25,000 miles. Now it's going to be different slightly in the tanker division because of the amount of time that it takes them to reach those miles. But what I want you to think about is that is not the finish line. Just because those miles are set, it doesn't mean they're set in stone. That is the initial evaluation point. In other words, if there's anything that happens during that training process, that it could extend that finish line out a bit. If you're involved in a preventable accident, or you get a moving violation, either a citation or maybe even just a violation on an inspection, a number of critical events could also cause it, or an overspeed alert. All these things are going to extend that finish line out. It's going to add miles to the training. But don't look at this as a penalty. And the reason I say that is because you got to realize, as much as you have an obligation to operate that equipment safely, we have an obligation to make sure that we've given you all the knowledge, the tools, and the skills it's going to need to make that happen. We understand that the other part to this is the financial implication it has with you being out with a trainer longer. But I want you to think about something else. Although that's going to have a financial impact on you, what if you get out on your own and you have accidents? Or you get out on your own and you get a moving violation ticket that goes against your CDL? Or maybe you've had a combination of these things and all of a sudden the liability is too great for us to continue that partnership. That is going to have a much greater financial impact on your well-being than just going out for a little bit longer with a trainer, so we can get these issues resolved. You can fine-tune those skills, and you can make sure when you get out on your own, you are ready to succeed. Because when you succeed, Prime does. That's what has built this company for many years. And we're going to rely on these trainers a lot for that kind of information. Let's say maybe you come from a state and you have no winter driving experience. Let's say you come from Florida and you've never seen snow on the roads. I'm going to tell you now, when you get behind a 70-foot long, 80,000 pound vehicle and you start operating it in inclement weather, it's going to be totally different than anything you've experienced before. So never look at it as a downside to being out with that trainer longer to get that experience under your belt when you can still turn to them and ask questions. Or if you get yourself in a situation, you can rely on them for help when they're right there in the cab, not having to make a phone call to someone to try and get that help when you need it. You got to realize all these things play a part in your success, and we're here to help you with that. And we want to make sure that every step of the way that we've helped groom you to fine-tune those skills, to make sure when you get out there on your own, you can support your family and you can have a long, prosperous career here at Prime, because that's what we want to see. I want to take this second to thank you so much for what you do. We appreciate everything that you do, and it's an honor and a privilege for us to get to truly work with the greatest drivers in the business. So thank you and be safe.
Hi everybody, I'm Dennis Davis from the Safety Department. Let's speak candidly today. As we stand here in our shorts and polos during this first week of autumn, we know that our toughest time of year is ahead. Winter time is here, and we've probably told you probably too much that you're the captain of the ship, but in my opinion it's not enough. We want to make sure that you understand that every time you get behind the wheel of a big truck, that you, the driver, are in charge. You are the captain of the ship. And this just doesn't mean in inclement weather. This means anything. But as winter approaches, we want to re-emphasize that inclement weather will not give you a service failure. You may get pressure from your peers out on the road. You may even get some pressure from your fleet manager. That customer maybe even calling you, telling you how important it is for this toilet paper or hand sanitizer or any other essential needs that we have during a pandemic. Is important that we get it delivered. Nothing is more important than your individual safety. The very moment that you decide that the weather is too bad, the conditions are too rough, and that you don't think it's safe to proceed, we want you to find a safe haven. We want you to pull over, and most importantly, we want you to communicate with your fleet manager on what's going on. This allows us to tell our customers that, hey, we're shut down due to the weather. We'll get you an ETA when we can. Don't be the driver this winter that calls and tells us right after an accident that you were just about to pull over. When you decide that it's not safe, that's the time to shut down, not 2 or 3 exits or 2 or 3 miles or 2 or 3 stops after you've made that decision. Hopefully this resonates with you, whether you've been in that truck for 10 minutes or 10 years. Thank you. Be safe. See you next time.
Well, that's the information we have. And I just want to run through each of the 3 topics that we talked about. Dave talked about being prepared for winter, the winter conditions out there. Winter is treacherous. It's dangerous out there. There's cars that are losing control. You don't have the traction you normally have. You don't have the visibility. The 3 things that we use year-round but really come into play in winter are, number 1, drive at a speed that's appropriate for the conditions and that is also appropriate for your ability. You've got to pick a good speed out there. Your following distance. Following distance is always important. It's a pet peeve of mine, but it's even more important during winter time. And I know it's hard. You back off a little bit. and someone cuts in there. I know that. You know that. But we want to keep a following distance that's going to allow us to react if something happens in front of us. And finally, distractions. You know, I always talk about distractions. If you're driving and you're not distracted in the cab, if you've got two hands on the wheel, you're checking your mirrors, you're checking your gauges, you're totally engaged, you're going to be able to respond to any situation that you find yourself in. But if you're trying to do something in the cab, get something to drink, even talking on a headset, all of that can be distracting. And in wintertime, it's not the right time. Wait until you pull over and stop before you get into any of those activities. So your speed, following distance, and distractions. That's what will get us through winter. Then we had Dennis talking about stopping when the conditions are bad. You know, I've been at Prime now a little over 24 years, and I will tell you this, I don't know if we've always been as dedicated as we are now to backing up our drivers when they think it's necessary to pull over and park. Remember what Dennis said, communicate with your fleet manager. If you stop because of the conditions and you communicate what's going on, that is not a service failure. I promise you that. As long as you communicate, it's not going to do us any good for you to continue on and have an accident and then the product never gets there. So we have to make sure that we're stopping when necessary, and we will back you up every time. The last topic was with Bill Sprague talking about upgrading. Upgrading is very important to our new drivers. That's why you're here, in most cases, to get in your own truck. Maybe start your own business. Start making decisions for yourself. But we're going to do that when the time is right. I completely agree with Bill. Upgrading you at the earliest point possible when you're not quite ready is not doing you any favors. This is a tough business. It's a very tough business, and it can be unforgiving. We're going to make sure that you have the best training possible and you're ready to go when you're out there on your own. Because then, as Bill said, there's no one to turn to ask what to do. You are truly out there on your own. So I hope that information, I hope it sinks in with you. Some of it applies more than others to different people, but I hope that you listen to it and you take it to heart. We're going to be here for you this winter. We're going to get through this together, working as a team. If you have any questions, be sure to contact the safety department, work with your fleet manager, and let's make this a good, safe winter. Thank you for everything that you do. We appreciate you, and you keep America moving. Thank you, and we'll talk to you again soon.